In this video, I'm going to go over the gap and go trades that I am tracking for the week of January 29th through February 2nd. There are 13 tickers. First up is Lowe's. We ended the week at $211.98. This is where we are. To the north side takes us to 2 standard deviations, roughly 212.27 and 213.43. And at 4 standard deviations and another level of resistance and potential take profit area as well, 214.59. To the south side, VWAP takes us back down to roughly 211.59. The middle of the trend takes us to 209.94. Another level of support and potential buy-in area, 207.62, 206.47, and 205.29. Looking left, note the bounce at support, sell off here at resistance, and here as well. Some other gaps to the north side I'm tracking, so check out my other video, my gap and go video, recap, where I talk about the gaps. Now the next one is Nike. We ended the week at 102.75, up nearly 2%. I am in this trade for my mom. To the north side from where we are takes us to 2 standard deviations, and that is roughly 103.53. And at 3 standard deviations, 104.29, and this gap closes out at 105.03. To the south side, very close to VWAP, and that would be at 102.59. But I don't trade off of VWAP, I do it off of the linear, and that's the price targets I'm giving you off of the linear. But I just put the VWAP down so you can see where we are in relation to the linear. You're making bigger moves, as you can see, by going -2 and 2 standard deviations. So that's 2, -2. Now to the south side, back at the middle of the trend, I got sidetracked, so I'll give you that. 102.03 roughly. This gap closes out at $100.88, and -2 standard deviations is $100.56. I'll just go and give you price targets between -2 and 2. That way I keep the video moving. Next one is Sbux. We ended the week at 92.80. To the north side, VWAP is at 92.91 and 2 standard deviations, and resistance and potential take profit area, 93.35. To the south side, 92.67, which is 1 level of support and a potential buy-in area, and 91.99 to the south side. And then this gap closes out at 91.68. MU, I'm in this trade. We're at 88.05, down 1%. To the north side takes us to the middle of the trend, 88.67, 90.14. And to the south side, let me show you. Oh, I got myself confused here, but I see what I did. I forgot to mark this to make it clear. This is the gap to the north side right here that I'm tracking. I, again, pointed that out, I think a while ago. No, I didn't. Never mind. That's another ticker I'm thinking of. So this gap begins right about there. All right, let's start this one over. To the north side from where we are, the middle of the trend, 88.69, this gap forms, and 90.14 to the north side. To the south side, 87.22, and that would take out this gap. The next one is BABA. VWAP takes us to roughly 74.07. The middle of the trend takes us to 74.35, and that's the upper channel of VWAP. And 75.35. Note this gap closes out at 76.54. To the south side, 73.33, 72.83, and this gap begins to the south side at roughly 72.53 and closes out all the way down here. We're not in that channel, not in that zone yet, but something to be aware of if we head back down. But right now we're going sideways with a slight increase in the channel, a slight upturn. The next one is, let me move this out of the way, Oxy. Nice strong upward channel. We are right here. To the north side takes us to resistance at 58.59, and another level of resistance is a gap fill at 58.89. Not in that channel, not in the zone, not there yet. And to the south side, middle of the trend takes us to 58.21. This gap begins at 57.94. And -2 standard deviations is 57.84. And watch out for this landmine to the south side at 56.74. We're not in that channel. Next one is SLB, ended the week at 52.92. Middle of the trend takes us to 53.10. The upper band here, 53.61. To the south side, well, this should really is the upper band that I'm tracking. This is one of the bands. To the south side, well, VWAP, which is roughly 52.85, 52.60 is another level, and then the outer band, 52.08. This is Altria Group. We ended at 40.20. To the north side is VWAP at 40.25, 40.39, and this gap closes out at 40.72. To the south side, back at the middle of the trend, 40.15, and at -2 standard deviations, and another level of support, 39.92. Exelon, we ended at 35.01. One target is 35.19. This gap at 35.57 there, and at 4 standard deviations, 35.67. Other gaps to be aware of as well, but we're not in the channel, not in the zone. VWAP is at roughly 34.90, the middle of the trend, 34.70, 34.24. And the next one is Pfizer. We ended the week at 27.47. VWAP is 27.53. The middle of the trend takes us to 27.85. This gap closes out at 28.33. And 28.39 is also another target to be aware of. To the middle of the trend, 27.32. This gap closes out at 27.06. -2 is 26.79, and this gap closes out at 26.61. Tsly. $8.73 is where we ended. To the north side is 8.96. This gap closes out at 9.74, so that would take out the 4 standard deviations as well. But another gap to be aware of, 10.25. We're not in the channel, not in the zone. And let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. VWAP is very close to where price is right now, 874-ish. Middle of the trend, 841. And -2 standard deviations and support, 786. Next one is Sofi. To the north side takes us to 768, and then the next gap to be aware of takes us all the way to 846. Fingers crossed that we get there, but we're not in the channel, not in the zone. That's down the road. especially something to be aware of because this stock has gone down. So you might have lost money and you're thinking, when will it rebound? A lot of trades to get back to the $8 range. To the south side. Oh, did I tell you VWAP? 763. And to the south side there, 756, 745. Something just disappeared on me. You know what? I'm just going to hide that now because I'm just going to show you two standard deviations because they just removed my 3. So it won't make sense if I have just 2 and 4. All right. 756, in case I didn't say it because I got sidetracked, 745. But I know I said the upper band here for the gaps. Finally, the last one, 614, and we're almost at 4, which would take us to 617. And up here where we reached would be 687. So that is going to be a goal, a target to the upside. And at 4 standard deviations right there, 637. All right, to the south side, middle of the trend, 595, and then 557 to the south side. And make sure you check the RSI, the MACD, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly to see where we're headed and where we've been so that you can look back and see some potential gap fills or trend lines that you may see. And that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome trading week.